Oh, Buddy the dog. He likes this miserable white stuff. Don't you, Buddy the dog? I gotta find a free hand to pet you. Come here. You've got a permanent wool coat on, so you like it. No, it keeps snowing, and it is bitterly, miserably cold. Like right now we're, I think, at the high of the day, 12. And it's gonna be down to a lot less than that. So, yeah, I'm not real motivated to work outside here, but I thought we might take the drone up and I could answer some questions that people have in videos. So, yeah, let's do that. And then I can sit in the pickup where it's warm. All right, welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. I got to remember how to run all this business here. And it doesn't have a full charge, I'm sure. But it should be enough to get us where we need to go. I can let you watch it take off. Just got to get her connected up here. It's going to go. These are really simple to fly because I mean, it's about idiot proof, which is good because that's where we are. Let's take off. Take off. Sure. All right, remember that drone footage is not, there's no sound. So people are always like, hey, why don't you have the natural sounds on when you're doing the drone? Well, that's because there is no natural sound. So we're going to fly out here. I guess we'll put you, I don't know where to put you. I'll put you here. You're not going to see the video from the GoPro right now. But we're going to fly out here to where our cornfield was. Because I have questions all the time about what is this clump of trees here. You see what I'm talking about? We'll fly around it so you can see. There's a very square shaped little plot of trees here. And people are always asking, what's the deal? And somebody asked in the other videos, is that where there was an old homestead? And the answer is no. There was not. This was at one time a hog pen because it was so wet that there was nothing else to do with it. So Grandpa just made it into a hog pen that basically was like an all-purpose hog pen. We used it for different things. I thought that was an eagle sitting in the tree there, but it's not. It was kind of like an overflow pen a lot of times. I remember we put some feeders in it before. We put some sows with pigs in it before. And it just kind of, it was one of the places it was too wet to farm, he said. So he had it pinned off. I mean, pretty well even with these 3 trees here, you see. And it made a perfect square around it. And that's how she was. We can go, oops, we don't want to go that way. Let's go up, and I'll see if I can point the camera down. Oops, that's zoom. We don't want that. Let's point the camera down. Go up, up, up. But you can see that was kind of like a square little area there. That was a hog pen, and that's what was going on. Let me start the pickup so I can stay warm whilst I'm doing this. That would make more sense, right? So, okay, truck. Not only was there a pin there, but there was also a pin over this way. There was a pin right about, let's see, right where that muddy spot is there, if you can see. And then maybe to that light pole over this way. There was a square pin, and I've pretty well got it where you can farm through it, except for that one muddy spot that's kind of hit or miss on that. But that's what the deal was. It just, two-wheel drive, narrow front tractors were not able to do the thing. So he just made them into hog pens. At one time, we had a tremendous amount of hogs, all outside in the woods. And I thought I'd just take you through the progression of that, you see. So the main area was right here, if I can get a good view of it. In this woods here. That was fenced off. And that whole square of woods is fenced off. And that is where the sows went with the boar. The boar was out there, and the sows went out there, and that's where nature happened, you know. And if we went down, I don't know, we're losing battery fast in the old drone, so we might have to go get another drone battery, which they're not all charged up. But like if we get close to it now, we should be able to see some remnants of old fence. I don't know that we will. Oops, let's get the camera. Yeah, you can see it in there, can't you? Maybe, maybe not. But in those trees, I've been meaning to trim it back. In those trees is an old fence. So at any rate, that is where they started. They started in there until such time as which the pigs got together in a mommy and daddy way, and the mothers were ready to give birth. A sow is just a female pig that's about to, you know, be a mother. So from there, we would take them as they had their babies back this way. Like I said, we're losing battery fast, probably because it's bitterly cold, but so we might have to switch. So from there on their journey, they went back over here to this little silver building, which was the Farrowing house. And that's where you would put them in crates every day and get them in the habit of going in the crate at night, and then you'd let them out for water and then feed and whatever, and then you'd have feed in the pen in their little crate. And the crate was just a place they could give birth, and it would keep them from squishing the pigs. So they would give birth. Then, after they did that, they would move over, and there was a pen. There was actually two pens right where, well, there is one of the little hog houses where all the bales is. That was one pen. But then there was a set of round pens that was like 5 pins right in front of where that steel wheel 60 is. That was a bunch of pens. And we would take them out there whenever they had their pigs, so that the pigs and the mommy could live together happily and until they got older. So they would live there. Sometimes we would take them out to the woods, to those other pens. It just depends on how crowded everything was and how many had pigs, because we had a lot of pigs at any given time. And so that's what they do. Then, I'm not doing very good flying the drone and talking, but because we're going to run out of battery. After that, they went back here. We need to go up.
Battery level is low.
Up. We're going to have to get a new battery.
Return to the home point in 10 seconds.
Okay.
Return to home.
We'll pause as I get a different battery, and I'll continue my story. All right, we're back. We're back because the battery's dropping fast. Let's get where we were at. Come on, come on, come on. All right. So, we were right here, you see. If I can turn so you can get the lay of the land. There's our Farrowing house. That pin went all the way until probably right about where that tree is. You like how I just say that tree, but you don't know what I'm talking about? This tree right here was probably about the corner of it. And then there was another pin from there all the way over to about the edge of where that tree line is. See? That was a pin. And that's where they went when they had been weaned from their mother. So we would take them away, you know, split them off. The mothers had been in either that round pin I just talked about, or the pin where those bales were, or they could have been out there by the road in those two pins. Just depends on how many had them at the time and where we had space. But then basically their first weaning was into this pin. Their first weaning was into this pin right here. Then when that happened, of course, the mothers went back to the woods where the boar was to start the cycle all over again. But the pigs, when they got bigger, then they went on the opposite end of the farm. So we'll fly over there. Don't mind me, I'm just checking bovines whilst I'm out here. They've got enough hay to get till tomorrow, so that's good. Bovines, sure. Oh, there's a snazzy looking fence right there. Somebody really liked what they were doing there. But anywho, let's get back to our story. Let's fly. Again, we're losing battery very fast. But once they were bigger feeders, like the last place they went before we sold them was over here on this end I talked about. We built that new fence in front of the old fence, and this was basically where they went. They went in here until they were ready to be sold. It looks terrible. A lot of those ash trees died and fell down, and a lot of the trees in there are just no good because they're not the best quality trees. They grew up after the pigs rutted everything up and what have you. You can see there's some water in the creek back there. But anyway, you can see the fence line clearly there on the camera. You can see the square that it's making, and then it comes back along this way and went over. You can follow the line up to just shy of that creek. There you go. And there you can see it head back. Here you can see the corner. Can I zoom in? Yeah, there's the corner. So that's cool. You can see that on camera. But this is where they went just before we took them away, and then we would load them up and haul them off. And this is very, very swampy. There is a lot of places in there where if you run along you could disappear, and that's no joke. When I was a kid, he says as he flies away and doesn't pay attention to what he's doing, but when I was a kid, let's get the camera turned back around. When I was a kid, Grandpa took me out there and he said, I want to show you something. And I was just a real little feller. And he said, don't ever come out here by yourself. And I said, why's that? And he took a stick that was probably about 6 feet tall, and he stood it up next to him, and he started pushing down from the top, and he pushed it all the way into the ground till it wasn't there anymore. And he said, this is a swamp. He said, it has no bottom. And he said, if you come out here, you'll get stuck and we'll never find you back. So don't ever do it without me. So that definitely wasn't the place to be. But pigs didn't have any problem with it, because pigs have like 4-wheel drive. You know, they're spread out flat. And he always said, he said, if you get stuck in this for some reason, like when we're out here loading. He said, don't wriggle around and try to pull yourself out and everything. He said, try to lay down flat, like on your stomach. And then he said, you should be fine until somebody can find you. And so that's what we did there. Just had to be careful, because it was, in fact, a swamp. We gotta admire this fence. I mean, that looks like that was built by a moron, but hey, morons gotta have fence too. Lovely. Ah, 30% battery again. But anywhoos, that was the progression of what was happening with pigs, and that is why we had the stuff we did, and that's why there are still remnants of trees in places where pigs used to be, but they aren't anymore. Woo, electric lines. Trying to get back to where I'm sitting. Alright, it should be right out there if I look outside. Hey, drone. Oop, let's go that way. It's going to be hollering about being out of battery and needing to land soon, so yeah. Well, there you are, Mr. Drone. Let's land you. Once again, it's very simple. You just push land, and it should land, as long as it doesn't drift off and hit something and think it's unsafe. Beautiful. It's just that easy, friends. So, is this interesting? Probably not, but it was a lot better than being out here all the time in the freezing cold and miserable temperatures, because it is just going to get worse. But luckily, through our flight there, I was able to also check on the cows, and they look like they're doing dandy, so we don't have to worry about them today. All we have to worry about is building a fire and keeping ourselves warm. So that's what we're gonna do. But I figured that was an easier way to answer the questions, because people always ask that question about that clump of trees, like what the deal was, and it was hog pens, because we had a lot of hogs out before the hog confinements ran us out of business. There was a lot of pigs on this place in different rotations. I mean, it was a constant cycle of life. They went out there, then they went over here and gave birth, then the babies went behind there, they went back out to start over, and then the pigs went from there to any number of places, and then out to their woods down there, and then we're out in the swamp till they were ready to be sold. And we did that a bunch, and that's how it went. And kind of sad that that doesn't happen anymore, because that actually made a lot of money back in the day. Grandpa always said, you know, he didn't make his money off the crops, he made his money off the pigs. The two woods made him the most money of anything he ever had, and that's probably true. I mean, we went through, well, like I said, we took that 2-ton truck to town twice a week to get feed, so that's a lot of pigs, and that's how we went. So anyway, I like flying my little drone, so I thought I'd put it to use. Hopefully people watch it. I think maybe there's a better chance of that with the narration over top of it, you know, instead of just silent drone footage. But I don't know. I need to charge everything. Everything is very not charged, and that's going to be a problem. Let's sit in here a minute and warm up. The nice thing is, I do have to say that I had somebody call me the other day and ask about drones, and I have been super duper impressed with this. But now I learned, because of all of the trade war stuff and all that, I don't know if you're going to be able to get these anymore, and that really sucks, because this is probably the best of its kind for its price. I mean, I hope that they don't, I hope that you can still get them, even if it takes a while to, you know, have them sent over here, because it has been super reliable. I don't know what I've had it for, a year maybe. He says as he's folding it together. There's what it is. It's a Mini 4 Pro. And I mean, what I like about it is, I mean, look, it folds up like this and fits in its little case. But it's super easy to fly. You really can't crash it unless you get too close to trees, and it can't sense the little, like the twiggy tree limbs, like now especially when there's no leaves on them, and it won't avoid that. Or if it's real windy and the wind pushes it into a tree, that's basically the only way that you're gonna wreck it, is if something hits it and it falls out of the sky, because it's super stable. I've flown it in very, very high wind, and it's handled it like a champ. And the only thing is, like on a super windy day, the battery doesn't last very long, and like today in the bitter cold, the battery doesn't last very long. But hey, I mean, I can't blame it for that, you know. It's not exactly like it's probably like 10 degrees now. It's went down a little bit, but it's really, I enjoy it. I don't know that people really like the drone footage. It seems like that the viewer, or the amount of people watching, drops off, because they show us that in the YouTube statistics, like how long people are watching the videos, and it does seem to drop off during the drone footage, which is a shame, because I think it's some cool shots. But I guess people like narration, so we'll see. Hopefully this video does a little better. But it's certainly handy for a day like today when you can't really get out and do much because adverse conditions, you know. But basically right now what we're dealing with is survival weather, I think. I mean, I'm sure people in the north are laughing because they're used to this, but when it gets around 0 degrees, I just am not having much of outdoors. That just doesn't do it for me. I love the outdoors, but hey, you know, pick a time and place, and it's not this. So anyway, luckily we had this little feller to get our eye in the sky so we could tell our story. But the long story short, I guess, is pigs. That's the moral of the story. A lot of the strange things you see around here that you wonder why or whatever is remnants of where pigs were. And so that's why there's patterns and things where you can see old fence. A lot of the old fence has gotten torn out, like along the woods there. The county did it when they dug ditches. They ripped it all out, and so it went away. So there's no remnants along the road of any of that, but there is in the trees. So I don't know. It's going to be quite an interesting winter if it's ready. I mean, usually we don't get this till maybe January, February, but we're already starting with it now before Christmas. So I look for a lot of gaps in videos. I don't know, because I just don't have a setup to work outside in the bitterly cold, and I really don't want to. I mean, I got plenty of work to do in the house, you know, remodeling stuff I want to do and other things. I am thinking about starting a second YouTube channel on a different one of my interests, just because I thought, why not, you know, and then that would give us some indoor content. But I'm not ready yet to make that happen. I need to prepare the space that we would do that in. But basically it would be about like model trains, maybe antique toys, that kind of thing. I don't know. I like antiques, and I like things like from the childhood memories and things, but I got a lot of model trains, and I thought maybe we could set them up and, you know, dive into that a little bit. I don't know if that'd be super popular, but if that happens, then I'll tell you to go over there and subscribe to that channel too, so we can maybe get it going. But that would just be a little, it would not be as an everyday thing like this is, but maybe it would be the kind of thing where this channel isn't every day, but then I'd have a video on the other one on the day when I don't have one on this one because of weather. So that's what I'm thinking. But I don't know if I'll ever get there, but you got to just try to do stuff sometimes or you'll never get anything accomplished in life. So I thought of that the other day, and I thought about it for a while, and I think we're getting close to that point, you know, where maybe we'll do that, and then we can always have some type of entertainment for you, whether it be things from your childhood memories or farming adventures of the present. But that's what I'm thinking. Maybe this was a dumb video, but I'm running out of them, and I thought, wouldn't that just be the easiest way to crank out a video real quick, would be to fly the drone and tell you a little bit of story to answer your questions. So we're gonna leave this one here until next time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. After watching what you just saw, do you feel like your IQ has dropped lower than your credit score? Well, there's no reason that both of us should be miserable, so go ahead and hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. That stuff costs you nothing, and it really helps me out. Your banker may not approve, but I know mine will. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.